Well, I want to give you the latest from Bill Gates. You might not think this is true because it sounds too incredible, but this is what's proposed from this guy. It's Mr. Egomaniac philanthropist himself, um, the world's richest man, probably. He's proposing that robots be taxed. So, in other words, robots are. In other words, he's saying that there's going to be a loss of revenue for the government. Now, tell you, this guy is really hooked into the apparatus of, the controllers, if you want to put it that way. He says that the human worker right now does about $50,000 of work in a factory, and that income is taxed, and you get income tax, Social Security, Medicare, and all those things from the fruits of the human labor. But a robot comes in and does the same thing. Um, you're not getting any tax, so we need to tax them at a similar level. Um, he's saying that human jobs that are being done right now, which 50% of them are vulnerable to jobs that could be done by robots, could result in a loss of about $2.7 trillion dollars of tax revenue in the U.S. alone. Now, his concern about the government tells you right where, right exactly what he's about. He's an elitist to the max, and one of the problems with government is this. The main problem is it's has become a tool of the elite. It's not like these ideas are attached in the government themselves, but it has become a tool of the elite. So he's saying that, and I guess when you're saying this, when you're taxing government, you're taxing the robots themselves and their labor, which I can't see how you'd be taxing them for Social Security and Medicare because what is that, spare parts? I mean, what are you going to be doing? You spare parts tax for robots? Here, you need spare parts when you're old age. You can retire. You can be a retired robot. I don't even know what this is what this guy's saying though. I mean, he's not saying it exactly like that, but he's saying we need to collect all the taxes on robot labor that will be replacing human labor in the future. Now, the corollary flip side of this argument is, like, first off, government doesn't really provide any services per se, but say, for instance, they did provide some services in minor ways. Well, isn't a lot of the labor that's being done in the government going to be also replaced by robots? So, ergo, wouldn't that require half as much taxes to keep the government operating? I don't know about that, Bill Gates. You seem like you're such a smart guy. You don't really think everything through. But I guess the whole idea is he's arguing for the government to get as much money as possible. And I got to warn you about other things like Google cars because I know I've been hearing some people on the internet talking about, well, it's a great thing if my great grandmother is driving. She can't drive right now, and if she had a Google car, she could drive. Well, if they ever get on with Google cars, you know what's going to happen? You're going to have a global tax on that, and besides them tracking every freaking place you go, it's going to be easily um, calculated how much you owe because using transportation is using up carbon based energy, whatever you want to call that, energy that produces carbons and emissions. Um, so you will be taxed per mile. And they'll know exactly how many miles you went because it'll be working off the network. And if you're a outlaw, um, they'll have the robot police looking for you if you're driving a car that's not hooked to the network. Let's say you have your own 1965 or let's say even 1995 Ford that has a gas pedal on it and stuff. They go right after you right then, in the future sometime, maybe 50 years from now, because you're driving this illegal car. It's not taxed. It's not controlled by the internet. That's another thing. See, these guys are control freaks. That's one reason and actually, maybe if we ever have a nuclear war, and one good thing about it is to fry all this electronic crap. Right now, we got a plus side to it where you can get good information very easily, but a bad side to where it's controlling people. Um, who knows? Everybody's probably going to be chipped, and they'll probably tax you on the amount of air you breathe. through your biological, you know, parameters are showing how much your pulse rate is and all this kind of crap. If you bring your pulse rate up, you're using more carbon energies and you're creating pollution on the Earth's Earth. And it'll tax you upon your exact human activity automatically through your chip that's embedded in your body. Anyway, but one good thing, I guess, probably we can use instead of paying politicians millions and billions of dollars to do their dirty deeds, maybe we could just have a stuffed robot up there and program them with a speech, which is pretty much what they do now, and that'll save us a lot of money on politicians, right? But I don't know. Bill Gates is a philanthropist, right? I'm sure he is. Anyway, so he's such a philanthropist, he's worried about the government not getting enough money because robots are going to replace humans and they're not taxed. Which I already say, well, if they're going to replace humans, aren't they going to replace the government humans? Huh? So we don't need half as much tax, right? Well, how about we skip the robots? What the hell do we need robots for, man? You know, it's ridiculous. Anyway, don't trust these four-eyed bastards. Anyway, I don't know what the hell to tell you. It's four-eyed bastards. He's a four-eyed bastard. Anyway, Bill Gates ought to be replaced with a robot. And he said, like I said, man, this concept that I'm bringing out to you is not my idea at all. It's not. It's been hatched in Bill Gates' head. And this is the guy that also wants to bring us vaccinations to help combat future diseases. You gonna trust that, Toe? He's all involved in, because you got the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Global Alliance for Vaccinations and Immunization. You know what that's about, too. Culling the population. This guy's a work of art. So as we cull the population, we have robots. We got to make sure the robots get taxed. Now you know why this guy's got billions of dollars. Does he really operate a charitable foundation, or is that just a front? As always, it's always a front. All these philanthropists are full of it. So, I don't know if this is on YouTube anywhere. Probably not, because I actually got this article from, I think it was actually, it was in the Fox Business News Network's interview with him, and he was talking about it there. But, you know, it was right from the horse's mouth, so it wasn't something that was, you know, coming off of some blog somewhere that I read. It's actually, this is what Bill Gates is actually advocating. Anyway, I want to tell you again, because I mean, I put a lot of videos out on the Confederacy and the Confederate flag issue and stuff. I'm telling you, it's a lot more than Southern culture and heritage. You know what that crap was about? Fighting against taxes and centralized control. These freaking bigwigs, whether they're from Yankeedom or they're from Bill Gates' Washington area of the Washington state, they're all about control freaks and taxing the hell out of people and ownership of people. And as you know, the Microsoft operating systems are necessarily the most safe and secure operating systems going. They're backdoors galore for the NSA to spy on people. So, anyway, we're going to put this out because, you know, you're probably not going to hear this on your average news network or anything like that. But, and I don't know if this is going to fly because, but then again, if you're a robot, are you going to be able to get together a political action committee and try to stop the taxation on your robot selves and your robot buddies? No. If you're a robot, are you going to be able to rebel against the government and stop taxation? No. Well, actually, in reality, the situation is it's not really a tax on the robots. It's a tax on the people that own the robots. That's really what it is. So they want their money one way or the other. And the point of this video is anytime the government starts to lose money, they find nefarious, novel ways to take that money back. Because Bill Gates, who's a stooge for the government, and maybe not a stooge for the government, maybe he is the one that's controlling the government, He is actually seeing the writing on the wall for potential loss of income from the power that is lording over us, and through private enterprises using more robots. So what he's going to do is try to keep the tax rates, the tax coffers filled with the government, filled to the government to the brim as much as possible. So he's thinking ahead. And that's just like I brought out on another video about state income taxes didn't come about until the 1930s, early 1930s, in the Great Depression, because the states were getting to go under. Gasoline tax came about in 1932 to help the federal government, and they also made it illegal to produce your own gasoline or alcohol or drive your own cars because you had prohibition. So you had to pay John D. Rockefeller from Standard Oil for gasoline, and you had to pay tax to the government. Government is self-perpetuating and will survive at all costs against the people. That is actually why the Confederacy seceded. Tax rate on cotton was going to go from 20% to 47%. I got to mention in here, I know Social Blade hates my guts for freaking saying this kind of stuff, but they're a tool of the elite too. And actually, pretty much anything you got on the internet is run by the elite too. So I'm fighting them all the way from every angle. But my main point on this is, beyond what you could imagine, they will not stop on losing any money coming into their coffers. Bill Gates is advocating this tax on robots because he wants to make sure the income stream going to the government stays at the highest possible levels, and there's no potential loss that's going to be coming from private sectors where they'll start using robots for labor. So not only will we be out of a job, the taxation is going to be still just as high, because you lost your job to a robot, but the taxation to the government is going to be just as high as it always was. So how's this going to work out overall? I don't know. I just hope they freaking elite get their crap real soon. That's really what I hope.